Welcome to the Brothers Comicszov.
Elbow's still fucked. You can't
Shows up a
really
little
see, yeah. But yeah, I legit almost died, and that sucked.
Yeah.
But the pay's okay.
Yeah. And I had to get up off the couch suddenly because the phone rang.
Right.
And I was half asleep and my foot caught on the blanket and it just slammed down on the side of the table. It hurt for like 2 days. I was not okay.
That's rough.
I know.
Let's get started on our show that we do. Everybody, hi. I'm gonna cut that first part out so they don't know why I want to kill you this whole time.
Ditto, bro.
Wait, what did I do? It doesn't matter. Welcome, everybody, to the Brothers Comicszov. I am Nick Rock Lobster, joined always by my brother
Eddie, not Rock Lobster.
Today was Eddie's pick, and we're going to dive right into it. We are doing Fray. We kept a little bit in the last ending of the episode about the Joss Whedon bullshit. Let's just gloss over it. He's a scumbag. Love the art, not the artist. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not going to get into it. We're just going to jump right into the comic itself.
Yes. And as this was my pick, I would like to know your initial, because obviously I picked it because I like it, but I want to know your opinion first.
I'm pretty mad at you. Not quite as mad as you were about Scud. I personally, I love the Buffyverse, and I generally like Joss Whedon's style of writing and things and characters and what have you. I thought this was boring as sin. I thought the aesthetic was cool. I thought, what's the big guy's name? Urkon. He was neat. I thought the fish guy was neat. But as a whole, it just, I don't know. It just dragged. I hated that little fucking girl, Lou.
The one that got killed?
Yeah, that was the best part of the book to me. The best part of the book was when her little fucking neck got snapped.
I agree, but the thing is that, especially at the time, it was you can see how she was built as a very endearing character. You know what I mean?
Supposed to be endearing.
Care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yes, you find her obnoxious, but at the same time, here's this sweet little girl who's picked on for being different that you find.
I'd have made fun of her too. Murdered. I'd have made fun of her face. To her face. I hated her. I thought she was terrible. Fine, I'm a fucking monster. I was with Urkon all the way. I hated that little girl. I remember when they found her dead fucking body, I was like, oh, they went there. Good for them. I was overjoyed.
Whedon, so they had to go there.
Right. Yeah, he endears you to a character and then murders them. But I didn't find her endearing at all. I found her pretty insufferable for every panel she was in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, opinion, not great. Let me put it this way. I didn't go in with high expectations, but I went in with decent expectations because it's a Buffyverse story, a sci-fi kind of Buffyverse story. I was like, okay, I'm into it. I like those things. And it just kind of left me meh. Not bad, just meh. I've read way worse, but, I've read way better.
Yeah, I'm just... What year did this come out? I can't remember.
I want to say, 2004, 2005?
2003.
Okay, yeah. So it was while Buffy was still going.
Yes.
Or it might have been its last season.
It was technically at the very beginning of its last season, because it went from September, October until May of 2004.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe it was 2004, right? Yeah, 2004. No, I have to check.
Yeah. But while you're doing that, I expected more, maybe. Because it just left me very kind of ambivalent.
2003 is when Buffy ended.
Yes, that's right. It was my junior year of high school.
So I was sitting there like, I know that this feels wrong. 2004 was Angel. 2003 was Buffy.
Okay.
And this came out like within 6 months after the show ended.
Yeah.
So I really liked the concept of the twin thing and having it be like, that's why she doesn't have any of this.
That was cool.
He's gone kind of mad.
That was cool. I do admit that when that happened, I was like, oh, because interesting.
He needed a bite to live, and now he's a vampire with all this history of a slayer inside of him.
Right. I did find that interesting because it was, I like things that play with lore. And Buffy has a very rich and very lore. Like, there are rules, there are things. It's one of the reasons I like Demon Knight so much. Even though that's a standalone movie, it is rich with lore. And I like things like that, and I like when things play with the established lore. So the twin thing did that.
Without breaking it.
Without breaking it. No, I don't like lore-breaking shit. If it's not lore-friendly, I'm not interested.
But this works with the...
I don't want Thomas the Tank Engine in my Skyrim. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, I hate that shit. But lore-friendly stuff that plays with it a little, I like that. And the twin thing did that. I admit that part was pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that the Watchers still exist, but they've kind of gone crazy.
They've all gone insane, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good ideas.
I really like the twist with Urkon.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see it coming, but it is there.
Yeah.
They plant the seeds all throughout the whole thing.
They do, and then there are those two weird demons, the super fat one and the weird spider one that, it felt like they were setting up for a series, and then I guess that never happened. I don't know the background.
That was around the time that Dollhouse got picked up and he ended up getting busy or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, not that he was busy with Dollhouse very long.
No.
Which is a shame. But, we have our opinion on Dollhouse, which might not be most people's opinion, but it was a great show, and it never got the chance that it deserved.
Agreed.
Firefly Alan Tudyk is Alpha. Get the fuck out of here.
If Firefly didn't exist, people would be complaining about Dollhouse the way they do about Firefly.
Yes. But I think it's a book of a lot of cool ideas, especially if you're into the Buffyverse. It just kind of all amounted to much ado about nothing. Like, it felt more interested in tying the ideas together as opposed to telling an engaging story. Like, I thought the sister character was okay. She's got a cop sister, of course she does, because she's a rebel and she's a cat, and it's like, of course, there are certain things that felt very.
There was very tropey things. There were some
things,
totally cliche things in there. I get that.
And again, like, you're gonna probably keep going and listing like a ton of different things that happen. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a cool idea, but it didn't. A bunch of dots without the lines connecting them is just a bunch of dots.
See, I thought the lines connected them pretty well.
But they weren't engaging lines. They connected to each other, but it was also just kind of like, I've seen this. I know. I don't know. It just wasn't.
The twist that were thrown in there made me feel like it wasn't everything else that I had seen. The thing with the brother, the thing with Urkon, you know what I mean? These are the twists that you don't expect, you know what I mean, and that were cleverly done, and therefore made it not tropey.
But twists aren't story, you know what I mean? Like, they're a part of a story. They were, but
thing, yeah, it was built from the beginning with the brother thing.
Yeah, it just didn't entertain me, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe as we talk I'll feel it out a little bit more, but it didn't. I'm thus far more entertained by Buffy season 8 than I am by Fray. And I know you hate season 8 pretty
Though I do
strongly.
have a complete collection of the Jones Cola made specifically for Buffy season 8.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, there's a full set of them. It's great.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I got them displayed on in my apartment. My ex had them for years and finally dropped them off to me a couple of years back, and so I've had them up there. And it's cool because they've got all their unique. They're from the comic. They're from Buffy. Yeah. It's got Twilight. It's got Centaur, or Giant Dawn and things like that. But
Giant Centaur Dawn.
Centaur Dawn. We're not going to get into Buffy season 8.
I might keep dragging you into that conversation just because your reaction makes me giggle. Cackle,
go ahead.
Maybe.
Do it.
Cackle.
So I like that because you remember the axe and everything from the very end of Buffy season 7, but the thing is, it was introduced with like 3 episodes left, and there are 2 episodes left in the entire series. So it was like the least used thing for that. So it was neat that it was like that's the weapon that she gets to use.
And then seeing that it was also in Buffy season 8 was the scythe. See, I don't really remember it from the show very much.
Oh yeah, she uncovers it from the phone, like in the episode. Right, it's the penultimate episode. Okay. Because it's the one where Angel comes back and Caleb, is all super evil, and she has that big fight with Caleb, and Caleb gets killed. That's that. She uses the axe on him. That's
when he? Or was that earlier in the season?
That was episode 7. That was at the winery when he took out Xander's eye. No,
right.
The Caleb stuff happens in the very second to last episode, because that's when Angel shows up. They beat him together, kind of thing. She gets the axe and then uses it in the finale.
Okay. Because it's been a while since I've gotten to... I've rewatched it a couple times, but I haven't quite got to season 7, 6. Yes.
I'm doing a podcast called The Rewatcher with the girls who do the Morbid podcast.
Oh, really?
They're doing a rewatch of Buffy, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
But I like that they used that, because they're obviously, it's so far in the future that there are not any actual Buffy characters in there. You know what I mean? It's not a Buffy comic. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
it is, but it isn't. And I did like that. I like that it took place in that universe with a Slayer, but it's not a Buffy book.
And I like that they imply almost the end of what happens with Buffy, where she closes out all the demons from the world.
Right, but they never say it's her. They never say the name Buffy.
They never say it.
Right.
Never.
So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see if season 8, 9, and 10 tie into that at all.
I don't give a fuck.
I
bought the Blu-ray motion comic of Buffy season 8.
Yeah.
And I have no desire to watch it.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
So let's talk about Ethan Rayne.
You know what?
Oh shit, he's got his mug.
I was going to use this Batman glass to talk about the love the art, hate the artist, but we already decided we're not going to get into that.
Right.
So instead, thanks to you, we're going to take a sidestep and talk about how fucking stupid Buffy season 8 is.
And then now I'm going to put in like a jingle, and it's Eddie's sidestep.
With the Batman glass moment.
Yes.
So
this is almost like a 2-parter episode.
Yeah.
Without getting into specifics of season 8. But, I mean, you might right now, but I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do.
I'm just going to say that Dawn being a giant is stupid, that Warren being alive because he was saved at the last second by Witch Amy, and now they're together and taking people apart, and freaking they kill Ethan Rayne, and ultimately I hear that they kill Giles. Fuck Buffy season 8. I wanted to like it. I swear to God I wanted to like it. I read it. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I bought the Jones fucking Cola. I bought the Blu-ray. I did everything I could. Buffy is my obsession. Always has been. This t-shirt, I have never worn this t-shirt before in my life. But I put it on because we were talking Joss Whedon, and the reason that I've never worn this shirt in my entire life is because it is autographed by Danny Strong and Robia Lamore. But I wanted a Buffy something for this because it's the closest we're ever going to get, because I will never choose Buffy Season 8 to be my comic. So this is the closest that I could possibly get to it. And I'm going to embrace it because fuck Buffy Season 8.
This has been Eddie's sidestep. Yeah, Eddie's Batman Glass moment. But I mean, characters die in books. You know what I mean? Like, you mentioned the Ethan Rain thing and the Giles thing.
They did... It felt like fan fiction is what it felt like. It felt like fan fiction, and it felt like these are things that we couldn't do before, so we're going to do them all right now. And it was just all stupid.
Yeah. I like it.
Anyway, I know you do.
I think it's alright.
But you didn't like this, so I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
I don't
But the fish guy was interesting. I like the twist with the... I can't remember the fish guy's name. Help me out.
I can't... Sebastian, Cornelius,
I hate you.
Pepperton. I don't remember either. I'm just guessing names. Captain Howdy. Gunther. I was close.
Not at all. So, I liked Gunther because he seemed like an interesting character, and he seemed like he was going to be the scumbag that screwed everybody over. And then it ends up he wasn't. He legitimately seemed like he was trying to help and warn her, and you wondered why he was paying so much in the beginning, you know. And you think it's because the brother paid so much because of how important it was.
Right.
But in actuality, he was trying to warn her, you know what I mean? And he does seem like an ally, a scumbag, but an ally.
Yeah.
And so it ends up being a really cool... I love that last twist, you know, section where it's like, oh no, it wasn't Gunther, it was Urkon. Here's all the things that showed you it was, and you're like, oh.
I did like Gunther.
Is really coming together in this last part of it to explain all these things that were kind of like left unsaid. It felt like kind of like an end of Hush with the Riddler, you know, thing where it was like, here's the two of them together, here's all the pieces that we dropped, and here's how, you know what I mean, here's what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked the way that played out.
I liked Gunther's design. I liked his little tank house. Mm-hmm. I thought that was neat. That
very
was a cool set piece. Yeah, very Abe Sapien. Again, the twist was well executed. It's funny because, again, you're going to keep saying things, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I like that too. But then as a whole, nah, I didn't like it. I can't put it into words. But I mean, okay, so we talked a bit about the narrative. Let's just slugline it a little bit. It's how many years in the future? Hundreds of years in the future, right? Yeah. So there's hundreds of years in the future. There hasn't been a Slayer for a long time. They find out there is a Slayer. Her name is
Malakia.
Captain Howdy.
Captain Howdy. Malaka, M-E-L-A-K-A.
Malaka Fray. She is the new Slayer. Her Watcher. All the Watchers have gone insane. She meets her Watcher for like a minute, and he sets himself on fire. And then you find out that there's this prophecy that there's this big bad coming. You think it's the one vampire, but it winds up being her brother that she thought had died, but he turned into a vampire. What's his name?
Icarus?
Oh, Icarus is the vampire. The brother was...
Harkon? No.
Harkon. Something like that.
Hearth.
And he's kind of the big bad, and he's opening up... Or he's bringing all the vampires to the slums, and there's a big fight.
They're called lurks.
Lurks. They call them lurks because it's the future, and future movies do that, or future books do that.
Vampires don't exist.
Yeah. But lurks. We're not using the Z word. And it's, so yeah, and there's the big fight at the end. The little girl gets her neck broke, and then her parents are upset, and they help fight. And then it looks like they're about to blow their brains out, but they don't, right?
Right, because then the reserve show up. Or
yes, the backup shows up. The cavalry shows up. And
they realize that they're saved, and they don't have
to when
it wasn't the backup. It was when she bust through its brain, and they realized...
Oh, that's right, because it swallowed... The big worm monster swallowed her, and she busted through its brain. I was gonna laugh pretty hard if the little girl got her neck broke and then the parents like fight all the vampires and then just blow each other's heads off. Like that would have been very like a peck and paw movie. What? Yeah, I'm real dark. I know. Fuck that little girl though. She was terrible. So yeah, that's kind of the basic plot. Let's talk about art.
I enjoyed the art for this quite a bit, actually. You know what I mean? I never once felt like I couldn't see what was going on, or it felt very classic, panel for me. You know what I mean? Very easy to follow along with. I really liked the title texts; those were really cool. I like the design of those. I like the design of all the characters. I like the way Malaka looks. I'm just gonna call her Fray. I like the way Fray looks. Urkon's got a really cool design. Like you said, Gunther's got a great design. I like the design of Icarus, you know what I mean? All the things that they put together is true. The little girl was creepy and off-putting, but that was the point.
She felt like she belonged in the Oblongs. You remember the Oblongs?
It was an interesting, it was an interesting world that they created, a little post-apocalyptic-y, kind of dark world trendy, you know what I mean? I wasn't blown away at the concept of the world that they built. Not that I was totally off put by it, but obviously it felt very cliche, traditional look to it, and I think a lot of that was probably the artist, not just Whedon. But ultimately, I enjoyed the artwork. Very, very colorful, you know what I mean, and good use of space when they needed it.
I feel it was entirely adequate. I do think I like the coloring. The colors really do pop.
Yeah.
For sure. And the character design solid. I mean, it's a little rudimentary, but at the same time, that's fine. That's not bad. Yeah. Just because I can say it doesn't have to be, Department of Truth abstract fucking watercolor. Like it serves its purpose. It's good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
I agree.
I do feel that Fray herself, her design is a little manic pixie dream girl for me, but also that was kind of big at the time, so I'm not going to necessarily fault it. I mean, like you said, it was what, 2004? Yeah, 20 years.
2003.
Jesus Christ.
So 20 years ago.
Good lord. Yeah, but that was popular at the time, so I'm not going to necessarily fault the book for that. Yeah,
I remember I read this when it came out because at that time I was already working at Barnes & Noble.
Right. And I don't know if I would have felt about it differently if I read it then. I don't know. Because I can't quite put my finger on what it was that didn't... And it's not that I didn't like it. It was just... Right. It didn't... I should be excited for a future Buffy book and to talk about one, and it just... I don't know. Didn't tickle my pickle, but it might have if I had read it back then.
Right, that's true.
I don't know. It's hard to say how much of it is a time and a place when you read things. But then again, I also feel that certain things you'll appreciate for different reasons at different times. Like when I first read American Psycho, when I was way too young to be reading that fucking book, I read it when I was 13. And I was like, oh, brutal. This is fucking, fucked up. That's cool. Rad. Like, metal. And then I read it again in college, and I'm like, oh, there's a whole other layer to this that I did not comprehend at that time. Mm-hmm. And it's more, I picked up on the irony and the satire and the overall narrative theme of it. So I don't know if I would have felt differently about this book having read it 20 years ago or 10 years ago or, I don't know, tomorrow. I might feel different if I read it. Like, it's... Because it's not bad. It's just not... I didn't feel like it did anything different.
Yeah. That is fair.
No. I think I'm being pretty good, considering last week you were, like, threatening to murder me in my sleep.
Well, to be fair, Scud was fucking god-awful. I mean, this isn't like, oh yeah, it didn't get me full mast, but I get at least half mast from it. Like, there's nothing
Quarter
wrong
chub.
with this Scud was like, I had a reverse.
Yeah.
It was that was a brutal
turtle-headed.
bad hook.
Yeah.
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 Don't even fuck you. Don't even compare Scud to this, you piece of shit.
No, I won't compare it to Scud because Scud was entertaining. So what are we?
All right, it's gonna be like this.
We've done it. It doesn't have to be like this.
It's been like 6 episodes, and now we know what's up.
No, in fact, just this bit of conversation is already altering what my pick is gonna be because I don't want to pick another thing to annoy you, and I think that my initial pick would. So we did narrative, we did art, MVP. Pew, 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 pew.
I think that for me, the MVP has to be Fray herself, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that she went on a really cool... I think it was a really cool superhero origin story, essentially, for her. And to go from what she was to what she is, and that tropey, cliche, but cool contrast with, the character and things like that. It's like a different take on Faith. And I thought that...
Yeah, she is kind of Faith-like.
And I thought it was I thought she was really kick-ass in what she did and the way that her character development and things like that, so.
Okay. My MVP is Urkon, because he broke that little shit's neck. 100%.
You're a bad person.
Well, he was my MVP before that. I liked the design. I liked his whole, he's a watcher, but he's not a watcher. He's a demon. No. I liked his character design. I liked his kind of, what's that fucking old saying? Speak softly and carry a big stick or whatever. Yeah, that's very Urkon. Like, he was already my MVP, and then the cherry on top was he murdered that little fucking obnoxious...
Then it ends up he was supposed to murder her.
Yeah.
He was supposed to murder Fray.
Yeah.
But Fray did it first.
That's true. But
he didn't even have to betray her, actually, because he already did.
I think Lou is the worst. Lou is the only character's name I remember, because she is the worst fucking character I have read in a comic book.
She's your anti-MVP.
And, like, she is my anti-MVP. Lou. Fuck that little girl. I'm glad she's dead.
So, are you going to release something that is that on a loop, like you did with me?
Absolutely not. No. If there's... I would never.
Girl.
I'm glad she's dead. Yeah, no, Urkon. I think I liked his whole vibe. His kid-killing vibe.
Then I'm going to let you cast first.
Yeah, casting. Boom. And first up, I feel like it might be a little bit of a cop-out, because I'm doing my 3. I always roll in 3s. Okay. Fray herself. I cast Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh, that's neat.
I think she would be good. Kind of, but I don't know if I'm being colored because of fucking Scott Pilgrim, and she was kind of very Fray in that. I feel bad in regards to that. If I wasn't gonna, well, no, I'm gonna stick with her. I'm not gonna throw out another name now. But I pick her as Fray. Then I was gonna cast Hearth. That's his name, right? The brother?
Yes.
I was going Elijah Wood circa 2000.
Okay.
Comparable ages for both of them. Make sure they're the same age-ish. But Elijah Wood, I think he's good at playing the kind of quiet, meek, but also he can be crazy, as we saw in Sin City and shit like that. So I say faculty era Elijah Wood.
Okay.
Urkon. I'm going voice with Urkon just because I picture him as kind of a Henson-esque puppet. And this is kind of also a bullshit answer, but in honor and in RIP, I say Ray Stevenson.
Yeah. That's definitely colored opinion because of his recent death.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to argue with it.
He would do a really good job as the voice of that, I think.
For sure.
But yeah, just kind of an in memoriam. R.I.P.
Okay.
I think he would do a good voice for Urkon.
Nice. I'm only casting one, but it is also Hearth.
Okay.
I am casting an age appropriate at the time. I would say mid 2000s or so, maybe a little later. Topher Grace.
Ooh. Shots fired. That's good.
I thought about Predator, and I'm like,
yeah,
because that character is kind of a combination of Predator and
he's fucking underrated, man.
Eric.
I think he's a legit good actor, and I think he gets fucking slept on. Yeah, that's ooh. Ugh. Okay, we're gonna re-edit it so it sounds like I say Topher Grace.
No, you can't do that.
I absolutely could, but I won't.
So then, how would you edit it to make me choose a different person? I haven't said a single other actor's name.
You don't think you've said another actor's name at any point in this?
Nope.
Shit, I don't think you have. Say somebody. Say Josh Hartnett. Say Josh Hartnett right now.
Hey, he's an underrated actor too.
He is. I like Josh Hartnett. But no, that's a killer choice.
No, I'm not gonna fall for it.
No, that's a killer choice. I wish I had that choice. Yeah. So I guess you would recommend it? You get a thumbs up?
Highly, for sure. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I liked it as much as when I was, in my late teens, early 20s. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I still very thoroughly enjoyed it, especially when I'm analyzing it. Like, I finished it and I was like, yeah, that was good. But then when I'm talking back with you again, I'm like, yeah, and the way that they did this and the tone, the twist that they did while still making it. Many twists.
You're bending me a little bit. Like, yeah, it's a solid story.
So many twists can feel forced and cheap, but this one felt like every twist was earned, and none of them were just for the sake of shock value. You can see that every one of them was built in there and thought about carefully.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think that for me, the moments are killer. Like the reveal that Urkon was a piece of shit. The reveal that her brother was her twin and that he got half the Slayer shit. But it's the shit between the moments. When that little girl got her fucking neck broke. It's just the moments between the moments didn't... It felt like I kept reading just to get to the next...
I can't believe that we've gone this whole thing and not talked about one of the most shocking moments. And it made me think of Eurotrip and the famous line of, "You kissed your sister!"
Yeah! What was that about? There was
You're trying to fuck with her head.
I guess.
You can see it's like fucking with her head, like, what is going... who is... You know what I mean? And
right.
That's why I think he did it literally just to play mental...
To fuck with her. And because he's a fucking demon that doesn't have a soul anymore, and he's just like, he doesn't care. It doesn't weird him out, because he doesn't give a fuck about anything. Exactly. So, yeah, I remember that moment happening and being like, woo. I get why you did it, but you still did it. Yeah. I forgot about that scene for a second. Yeah. But it has.
Carry on with it.
I'm gonna say it's a middle recommend for me because it's So yeah, I think if you're a hardcore Buffy fan, it's required reading. If you're not, I mean, why are you even reading it if you're not? Yeah. Like if you're not into Buffy, you don't even know the rules. Yeah.
No, but they introduce you to the world. If you're not, you might still enjoy it for.
You might still enjoy it for its own little kind of.
It's not like they're Buffy characters or anything. It's not like they talk about anything from Buffy.
I mean, they talk about Slayers and the rules for Slayers.
They explain the world, but they don't talk about anything from the show. They just explain the universe.
Yeah. It's a middle review. If you like your obnoxious girl's neck broken and destroyed by demons.
You'll think it's
You'll think it's All right. Boom. We did it. Eddies always die.
Until next time, read more comics. I'm not holding it there.